Hey guys, Rachele here with Amethyst Ascension. If you are new here, welcome, and if you are returning, thank you so much for joining me again. So today I'm going to be doing a video on, it's a hashtag, Tarot Reviewer Questions, and this was started by Cody over at Tarot Readings from a Bitch, and it's essentially a tag with the current environment of our tarot community. Asking questions about reviewers and watchers. So there's 9 questions, so let's just get started. So question 1, what is your tarot experience? So I started reading tarot almost 5 years ago. So I started off, I got a box, Tarot Party Night, something like that, off of Crate Joy, and it had the Gilded Tarot in it, and Easy Tarot, I think was the name of the book, and that's what got me started. And then I did a course, a tarot course, and lots of consuming of TarotTube and joining in on lives about different cards and meanings. I also did my own series on learning, like, 78 days of tarot, learning the tarot right along with me early on, years ago. So that's like my experience. Oh, and I read for myself. Mainly, I do read for others, friends, family, and I also do read professionally, occasionally. So, there. Why do you review decks? Well, I guess it's all in how you look at it. Some of the decks that I get, I'm just sharing my passion. I'm just sharing my joy. I mean, isn't that what TarotTube is, or the tarot community? Isn't it about sharing your love of tarot? So I'm sharing like decks that I just get in, doing walkthroughs when I love the art, or, yeah, but I mean, why do people do reviews? When you go to a movie, do you call your friends and say, oh my gosh, I just seen this really cool movie, and do you tell them about it and say, you should go check it out? Same difference when you're watching a really good TV series or you just read a good book. It's like that. So that's why I'm just sharing my joy. How did you get into reviewing decks? Yeah, it just seemed like a pretty normal thing to be doing on TarotTube. It seems like everybody, even if you're not trying to showcase a deck, you are. I mean, when you're working with a deck and you're showing spreads and stuff like that, you're still showcasing a deck. So there's that commercial part in the tarot community. I mean, otherwise there would be no tarot, right? Do you receive decks for review? And wait a minute, how did you get into reviewing decks? Yeah, it just seemed like the normal thing to do as part of, and I've done a lot of things on my channel, but that's part of it as well. Do you receive decks for review? I have, only about a handful. I could from Schiffer if I wanted to. They've sent me the catalog to get more decks to review because I did review one for them. And honestly, I didn't really, at the time, which this was a couple of years ago, I really didn't see anything that I really felt comfortable doing a review for, because for me, doing an actual review where I am sent the product, to take my time and work with the product, and I feel like it's a huge deal. So I always feel like it is something that I want to take my time with. I want to work with that item. I want to give that deck justice. As somebody that has been a creator of artistic items, you know, the jewelry and stuff that I used to create, but not just that. I've had a desktop publishing. Sorry, all of these, I should have turned my phone off. I mean, like the notifications. But anyways, so as a creator in the past, it's a big deal. I want to make sure I'm doing justice for somebody if they're sending it to me. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that I do a really good review. So I would say I don't do namely those kind of reviews because of the pressure that I put on myself. But I have been asked, and I have done, like I said, a handful of them. But I choose what they are. So there's like, it's something that I already kind of wanted. And I know that. And like, and I know it's not part of the question, but it kind of is, because like before I buy a deck, I must stalk it. I watch so many reviews on a deck. I watch so many walkthroughs on a deck from different perspectives, from other people's lighting, everything, usually before I push buy, because I feel like that informs me more. And I know that I get a lot of decks. I do, and I have a lot of decks. But believe it or not, I don't get more decks than what I do get in comparison to the amount of tarot that is brought into my attention every day. Way more that I don't get. And I find walkthroughs and reviews valuable for that, because I'll look at something and I'll go, oh, I really want that. That looks really cool. And then I'll see a walkthrough and go, now I know I really don't want that. But I wouldn't have known that. I have actually had more regrets from purchasing stuff that I went to, like Barnes and Noble or my local metaphysical store, because there was no walkthrough. A lot of times you'll find me, if I'm in those stores, going onto my phone and watching YouTube walkthroughs really quick before I purchase it at the store. But I still feel like that's not quite as informed as sitting and watching several videos, hearing reviews before I push that button. So, yes, I have done deck reviews, but few and far between. What kind of reader are you? Okay, I do like the system of tarot, just like I love Oracle, because they have different systems. Now, I do feel like, although I try to stick with the system that I'm working with, it still is very dependent on the images, because the images can change everything. I mean, I am the kind of reader that intuitively I pick up on other little things. I might be drawn to other things on the cards, but I will see like whole stories play out in my head when I draw these cards. I mean, whole scenarios, like movies, short movies that play out. So depending on what cards I'm using, it's going to depend on what kind of movies I'm seeing or what kind of stories are playing out. So I would say I know the meanings. I love the structure of the tarot, but I'm very heavily influenced by the artwork. So, yeah. What kinds of decks do you gravitate to? Love Oracle. I probably have just as many Oracle decks as I do tarot, probably about half and half. But the artwork, that speaks to me first and foremost. I've got to be able to mesh with the artwork, because I know me. I know that I'm a highly visual person, and if I don't get on with the artwork, I'm not going to reach for it. I'm just practical in that way. So it's got to be the artwork first, unless it is a system that I really, really there's no other alternative, you know, with better art. So I might get it. Or if it's something that I feel like, because not all decks do I read with. Some are like my books. They're like, or flashcards for leading me on different journeys of exploration. So I'm eclectic. I like all different kinds of decks. But the artwork is the first thing that draws me in. So question 7. What do you like in a deck? What do you like in a deck? Good artwork, a good system, a good guidebook. Because I do a lot of tarot for myself. I have very extensive personal tarot practice. And I use this month alone, I was just working on my tarot journal earlier. And I have worked with 19 decks this month because I do readings for the moon phases. I am now doing the Deacon walk, as well as the Weavers, the membership. So I do monthly medicine. I also have cards on several different altars that I will draw usually once a week. And I didn't even count those actually. I didn't even count those in my list that I've worked with. So I work with a lot of decks on a monthly basis. And it might also be dependent upon like what the theme of the monthly medicine is. It might be dependent upon what, like right now, what kind of Deacon energy we're going into, what kind of moon phase we're in and how I'm feeling about that. It can be dependent upon the time of year, how I'm feeling. I am just like drawn in many different directions. I go through phases of what I am attracted to because of maybe what I'm consuming on TV, like, or Netflix or Apple TV, or books that I'm reading. I could be influenced by that. I can be influenced by what I see somebody else using and I go, ooh, that artwork is awesome. You know, it's those things. So very eclectic. What do you dislike in a deck? Too big of cards. Too big of cards just don't work for me. It's hard for me to shuffle. As much as I would love, you know, working with some that the artwork is just stunning, if I can't shuffle it, and I just mean even overhand. Some of them are so big that I can't even shuffle it long ways like this. I have to do it, you know, where they're taller and do it like that because they're so big. So I don't like that in a deck. I don't mind shiny cards, but they're not great for filming or taking pictures of because of the glare. I don't like when they stick together, but that usually does wear off the more that you use it and shuffle it. What don't I like in decks? Even like with rose petal finish, I like that. I think it feels more of like a luxurious experience for me, but it's got to be the right kind of, and I've talked about this before, it's got to be the right kind of rose petal finish in order for me to like it. I don't like when it clumps. I don't like when the cards clump because I feel like I'm not getting a true reading because they're not being spread out properly. And so I don't like that. I do love linen cardstock. I just like something that I can easily shuffle. And another reason is because sometimes I'll be watching videos or I'll be watching a show or listening to an audiobook and I'll just sit there and shuffle my cards. Just riffle, and because it's calming. I like to be doing something with my hands when I'm watching something, so I'm kind of like multitasking. I actually soak things in a little bit better when I do that. I know that sounds weird, but it's the truth. So, what do you not care about in a deck? What do I not care about in a deck? I mean, I care about everything. I care about the experience. Cardstock, I do care about cardstock because it leads to the experience. I would say I'm probably not super technical. I don't know the names of what all of them are. That doesn't matter. As long as I can shuffle it and I think it's going to hold up for me, I'm good. I do like linen. Although I don't like decks that are so slippery that I can't shuffle them. I can't do a riffle shuffle without it going everywhere, playing, 78 card pickup. I do care about size. Size does matter. If it's too big, it's an issue. If it's too small, it's an issue. I like that sweet spot, which is normally what a normal size tarot deck is. Maybe a little bit shorter sometimes, depending on how thick the cardstock is. I don't like super thick cardstock because it's hard to shuffle. It's hard for me to do a riffle. I like to be able to do an actual, riffle and bridging. I feel like, I don't know, it's just ever since I was a kid and we would play card games and stuff like that. That's what we always did. That's when I first learned how to riffle, shuffle, and bridge, is playing card games from the time I was a kid. So, guidebook. It's not a deal breaker for me if it doesn't come with a guidebook, especially if the artwork is very easy to, understand as far as the Rider-Waite system. However, I do love a good guidebook because that's part of the experience for me, is seeing through the eyes of the creator of that deck, especially if it's a themed deck, like the Slavic Legends tarot. I love the deck and I want to work with it more, but one of the reasons that I love about it is because it's Slavic Legends. So you would want a book, and I know that there's one coming out. It's just, hurry up already. I want a book that tells me these stories behind it when I'm using it, because I also use that as part of my practice, my personal practice. Do I need them when I'm reading for others? Do I use them when I'm usually reading for others? I don't. But for me, I do, because I'm not on I can take my time when I'm reading for myself. And the major part of my tarot practice is me reading for myself. So these were great questions. Thank you, Cody, for posing these questions. When I do a review of a deck, 9 times out of 10, I'm doing it because I love the deck. And when I do a actual review where it is sent to me, and I also have to agree, I watched Summer's video over to Starry Ascend that she did earlier this morning, and I wholeheartedly agree. And I've talked with other people that also do reviews, and they feel the same way. They're not free decks. You don't just get them for free. You're actually taking your time to work with that particular deck. And so it's not anything free. You're reviewing something for somebody. So it's not just willy-nilly, It takes your time and effort, and so it's an exchange. It's an exchange of energy and of goods or service. So I just wanted to add that. So thank you. I hope you have enjoyed this, and I look forward to watching other people's videos on this. Again, it was called Tarot Reviewers Questions. I'm sending you love always. Thank you.